website.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Here.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Here.
Councilwoman Lydecker. Councilman Fosman.
Here.
Councilwoman Pontarero. Vice President DeYoung.
Here.
President Momolo.
Here.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to invite Boy Scout Troop number 6 to come up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, please, everyone, turn off your cell phones or put them on silence also. Thank you. That's right. Go ahead.
Please salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mayor, would you like to? This is National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. Mayor?
All right, thanks everybody for coming out. Just to let everybody know, with our BRIC communications operation, in 2014, they handled more than 120,000 telephone calls. There's 81,557 calls for service, including 10,515 911 emergencies. Every telephone call or radio transmission generates multiple computer entries, additional telephone and radio transmissions, and questions as to that are relevant to the incident at hand. So there's a lot of work that goes into each one of these calls. Communications operators work in a dynamic and stressful environment. Their decisions and work deal with life and death daily. They are responsible for the citizen on the other end of the phone and the safety of all the police officers that are on the road. Here in Town Hall, unfortunately, they work in a room with no windows. They deal with sad and difficult issues in rapid succession. They have to deal with one, get through that one, deal with another one, time after time. The chief has said many times that communication operators have one of the most difficult jobs in the department. It takes a special person to deal with persistent tragedy and the volume of routine calls day in and day out. Our COs do it best. And our group here in BRIC, they are very hardworking, they're dedicated, they act professionally. We never hear complaints coming from citizens about how any of our communications operators handle the call, so that's definitely an absolute plus to our town, and they mean so much to our town in keeping our citizens safe, the callers safe, the police officers safe. And for all those reasons, I, John G. Ducey, the mayor of the Township of BRIC in the County of Ocean and the state of New Jersey, do hereby proclaim the week of April 12th through April 18th to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. And if there's anybody here from the office, if you want to come on up, and Council President's going to read part of the resolution as well as the Chief, Lieutenant Land.
Council would also like to honor you with a resolution. Each year, the second full week of April is dedicated to the men and women who serve as public safety telecommunicators, and the National Public Safety Telecommunications Week enhances public awareness and promotes education regarding important public safety issues. Dispatchers and other public safety telecommunicators represent a vital link between the public and other aspects of the emergency service community. Public safety telecommunicators provide constant excellence in customer service with the shared goal of protecting life and property while also maintaining the highest level of professionalism even under the most extreme circumstances. and the heroic individuals, often in anonymity, help save countless lives by responding to emergency calls, dispatching emergency professionals and equipment, and providing moral support to citizens in distress. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey as follows. We join Mayor John G. Ducey in praising the men and women who serve the Township of Brick and all the communities as public safety telecommunicators. We urge all residents to give thanks to the individuals who serve them on very first line among first responders. Congratulations.
Nice job.
Councilwoman, would you like to join the staff here, please? 3C2 is National Library Week. Branch Manager Susan Gardner, are you here? Please come up. Thank you.
Okay. April 12th through April 18th, 2015, National Library Week. It's celebrated annually, and this year's theme is called Unlimited Possibilities at Your Library. Libraries create potential and possibilities within their communities, campuses, and schools. Libraries level the playing field for all those who seek information and access to technologies. They continuously grow and evolve in how they provide for the needs of every member of their communities. Libraries and librarians open up a world of possibilities through innovative ideas, programs, and resources. My son Jack, who is 3 years old, he goes to programs at least once a month over at the library, and they have them for all ages. And you know, he comes back and says, "Well, today we had a book read to us, or we did a little project," and he tells me all about it when he gets home. So it means a lot to him, and he's only a 3-year-old. And you know, people always think of libraries just as books on a shelf. It's much, much more than that. So please, if you haven't been to a library recently, please stop by our great library here, right on Chambers Bridge Road. And for all the reasons I just stated, I, John G. Ducey, the Mayor of the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, do hereby proclaim the week of April 12th to April 18th, 2015 to be National Library Week.
In the mid-1950s, research showed that Americans were spending less money on books and more on radios, television, and musical instruments. Concerned that Americans were reading less, the American Library Association and the American Book Publishers formed a nonprofit citizens organization called the National Book Committee in 1954. The committee aimed to encourage people to read in expectation of improving incomes and health and developing strong and happy family lives. In 1957, the committee developed a plan for the National Library Week based on the idea that once people were motivated to read, they would support and use libraries. The first National Library Week was observed in 1958 with the theme, Wake Up and Read. National Library Week is a national observance sponsored by the American Library Association and libraries across the country each April. It's a time to celebrate the contributions of our nation's libraries and librarians and to promote the library use and support. All types of libraries, school, public, academic, and special, participate in this endeavor. Therefore, it is my pleasure and honor on behalf of the Council to present this resolution for National Library Week.
On behalf of the staff at the Brick Library, I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for this recognition for National Library Week. They both have spoken very eloquently about libraries and their use. But I would like to invite you to come to the library. There's no better advocate and ambassador than your son, Jack. He, you know, comes to the library, enjoys the benefits, but we have benefits for children of all ages, as they say. Libraries are changing, but books are still popular format, but you can check out e-books. You can also, we now have magazines still in print as well as online. And so, as well as the technology that was mentioned in the proclamation. So there are many things going on, many types of programming for all ages, whether informational or cultural experience. So there's a lot going on at the library. So I would like to invite you all, if you don't come regularly, to stop by and see what's going on at the library. Thank you very much.
April is Autism Awareness Month. We have Gary Weitzman, please come up. Councilman, Mayor.
Autism is a pervasive developmental disorder affecting the social, communication, and behavioral skills of those affected by it. As more health professionals become proficient in diagnosing autism, more children are being diagnosed on the autism spectrum, resulting in rates as high as 1 in 68 children nationally and 1 in 45 children here in New Jersey. While there is no cure for autism, it is well documented that if individuals with autism receive early and intensive treatment throughout their lives, they lead significantly improved lives. Individuals with autism often require a lifetime of specialized and community support services to ensure their health and safety and to support families' resilience as they manage the psychological and financial burdens autism can present. Countless organizations and agencies in Brick Township, such as POAC, which is the Parents of Autistic Children, and in the state of New Jersey, are leading an awareness effort in order to educate parents, professionals, and the general public about autism and its effects. Just recently, we did light up Town Hall in blue in recognition of Autism Awareness Day. But for the reasons I just stated, I, John G. Ducey, the mayor of the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2015 to be Autism Awareness Month. And as you can see, the blue is the color. You see pretty much all of us up here are wearing blue tonight for that reason. We had last year we had an autism fundraiser over at Joe's Crab Shack that we were invited to, and this past Bricktoberfest we had a 5K race where the mayor donated $5 for every person who beat him in that race to POAC. It's definitely an important cause. And to thank Gary for coming out tonight and in recognition of Autism Awareness Month.
I have a resolution from the council on autism. Now therefore be the resolution by the Township Council, the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey as follows. We join Mayor John G. Ducey in recognizing the month of April 2015 as Autism Awareness Month in the Township of Brick. We encourage all residents to take some time during April to learn about autism and autism spectrum disorders, including research efforts and how we can help families of people with autism.
My son Christopher is a senior across the street at the high school, graduates this year, hopefully. Chris has autism. He's usually attached at my hip. When he was born, the rate of autism was 1 in 10,000. And as the mayor said today, New Jersey has the highest rate of autism in the country, 1 in 45. AIDS, cancer, diabetes, cystic fibrosis, Down syndrome, muscular dystrophy. Combine those 6, more children have autism than those 6 combined. The numbers have grown throughout the years, and POAC has grown with those numbers. We're a nonprofit agency based out of Brick. We started with 4 parents around a kitchen table 16 years ago, and we've grown to the largest statewide organization providing more training, education, awareness, and recreation for children and adults with autism in the entire state, all 21 counties, and everything we do is free. Last year we had 244 events that a family member could have come to for free. 244. School year is 180 days. Perspective. I personally want to thank the Brick Township Recreation Department, who is second to none. Those men and women and the young lifeguards and all their volunteers are incredible. They've been supporting us through years, through events and surf camps and everything. They've just been incredible. It's a reflection of the mayor and the council as a whole. In addition, we train law enforcement firefighters. We've trained over 25,000 first responders in the state, and POAC has been credited with saving so many children's lives that we lost track of how many lives we saved. Where the chief has called us up and said this child would have been dead if not for POAC telling our officers how to handle it. All for free. We're not funded by the government. We don't get 1 penny from the government, and we're at 95 cents, 95.5 cents of every dollar donated goes right to services for children. Our walkathon is next month. We actually have 9 of them throughout the state, so please go on our website. We'll leave some flyers in the back if it's okay. Come out and support, and again, Mayor and Council, I just want to say thank you and God bless. Thanks a lot.
Next up, we have our budget presentation. Now, I'd like to ask our Mr. Glenn Campbell, Department of Public Works, our director, please come up.
I'd like to thank the mayor, council president, members of the council, and Joanne for having me here tonight. Before I get to the budget, I'd like to mention that we had another interesting winter. Interesting might not be the right word, but I'd like to thank all the men and women of the Public Works Department, which now includes Parks, for what I thought was a phenomenal job, and the mayor and the council for unprecedented support that we got throughout the winter. It was very helpful to, and the guys know it. Thank you for this opportunity to present a brief overview of the Department of Public Works, which includes roads, solid waste collection, building and grounds, vehicle maintenance, and as I said this year, parks. The Department of Public Works makes over 2 million stops per year at residents' homes. In the past 2014, we collected 32,400 tons of solid waste and 4,700 tons of bulk. The landfill fees for 2014 dropped by $177,000. That's an 8% drop. And bulk was reduced by 516 tons for a savings of $42,434. Several years ago, we lobbied to have construction material banned from street pickup and up on the hill, and the combined savings since that ordinance was passed is $1,083,832. Pretty big number. In 2014, we had 56,000 residents visited our recycling center, and the staff answered 56,374 calls. There are times when the clerks or our phone staff answer 200 to 300, sometimes in excess of 300 calls. And I need to give them kudos because most people don't call to say thanks, you're doing a bang-up job. It's a request. I mean, they're not nasty, but they're usually requesting something. So Julie, Joe, and Tina, Lisa, Bobby Luckowitz maintain their cool, and they treat the residents with the respect that they deserve. More good news, our recycling rate is up 18%. And as a result, our revenue from the state tonnage grant is up 40%. Revenue last year was $87,399 from the county recycling, $120,337 for the state tonnage. They're a little bit behind in the reporting, so that's a 2012 number. For the metal we collect at curbside, we made $79,238. and $10,198 for the electronic bins we now have up on the hill. 2 years ago, we started picking up the garbage and recycling at the condominium units that had previously been a contract with Waste Management. And just from those condos, we picked up 2,732 tons of solid waste and 972 tons of recycling. That represented $11,664 in revenue. The good news is from the waste management contract, we saved $126,000. This next number, I think, is fairly impressive, and I'm maybe most proud of this. We drive 550,000 miles per year. I used to back into this number, and it took some time, but now with the blessing of a GPS system, I can pretty much pull it up on demand. And we only had 6 preventable accidents. As I'm sure you're aware, there's a safety review committee that reviews every accident. So to drive over 500,000 miles per year, narrow roads, very large vehicles, and to have 6 accidents is a pretty good job. Since we went automated, last year we only had 43 comp days. When the guys were picking the garbage and recycling up manually, we had 93 comp days, so that's a 47% reduction. And in accordance with the mayor's initiative, we reduced our overtime costs by 8%. 2014 brought a lot of change. We moved the Parks Department back under Public Works, where it had been a couple of years ago. It's helped us be more efficient, more manpower to properly schedule work ahead of time as opposed to being merely responsive. And we could create a priority to our efforts. I'll give you an example. We borrowed a couple of guys from the Parks Department, and over the winter months in between plowing and salting, they installed 550 storm drain retrofits that we otherwise probably wouldn't have been able to get to, which we need to keep up with. That's a stormwater permit from the state DEP. Salary and wage item for sanitation, which includes the road crew, is increasing 6% this year due to the contractual increases. You might wonder how it can go up 6% when the contract was only 2%, but we have a very senior workforce. A lot of the guys have been around a long time, and some of their incremental increases can be 6 to 10%. We reduced the overtime by 8%. We're going to keep the amount the same at $625,000. There's a lot of variables. We don't know how much we're going to plow, how much we need to be out on the hill. Part of the overtime, a pretty big number of it is contractual. We keep the hill open every Saturday throughout the year, and that's $116,000. The 13 holidays that we go out and pick up garbage and recycling is $92,000. And whenever you have trucks on the road, you have to have mechanics and fleet, and that's a preset. It's another $110,000 out of our overtime numbers that just can't be avoided. Sanitation's operating budget is increasing to be more in line with actual expenditures. The largest increase is in the conference, convention, and education line item, which is increasing from $1,500 to $10,000. This is in response to the EPA settlement we had, and we have to send personnel to be trained in asbestos and human reduction errors. The building and ground salary and wage budget is decreasing by 3%, and there'll also be a reduction in overtime. The operating expense budget is increasing by 30%, mainly due to the need to appropriate budget for ice melt, snow blowers, and other repairs. One of the side events of having a winter where not so much snowed, we only plowed 5 times, but the bitter cold. If you look down at your dashboard sometimes and you saw 2, that you saw there was a light out because we don't have that kind of temperatures, but it takes a toll on the equipment more so than the snow does. Our building and grounds crews maintains 19 different township-owned properties. Moving on to vehicle maintenance, the salary and wage budget is increasing 10%, once again due to contractual increases. The operating budget for fleet is decreasing by 11%, mostly for some operational efficiencies with the new trucks that we bought. We have laptop computers, cuts down on diagnostic times, and the guys can get the job done more efficiently. The operating budget for roads is increasing 4.7%. Justification for that includes a 3.6% increase in the line item for outside contractors for plowing, a small increase in protective clothing, and a $20,000 increase for additional road materials excuse me, so that we can do more in-house repairs. I don't need to tell anyone in front of me or behind me that the roads took a beating this winter. We used 25 tons of our high-tech blend that we're using in 1 week. So the guys are out there, but we have a long way to go to catch up. And hopefully the county will start hitting some of the roads in brick. The parks operating budget increased by 24%, which is a $26,000 increase. The equipment line item increased by $4,000 as needed to replace aging equipment. Outside contractors line item increased by $10,000 is needed for lake management and aeration of the fields at the Drum Point Sports Complex. The maintenance support line item is increasing from $0 to $10,000 to provide ongoing maintenance for parts for our playground equipment. The material line item is increasing by $1,500 for irrigation supplies, and there's a small increase in other supplies, seed, topsoil, clay, and some other materials for all the fields we maintain. There's also a $500 increase in the education line item. One of our guys is a sports field management certification, and we also attend shade tree seminars. Bringing the Parks Division back into the Department of Public Works has enabled us to use our employees to manage the overall infrastructure of the town. The guys not only helped with the storm drain retrofits, but as they have in the past, they always are right in the mix when we're salting and plowing. There's a lot of numbers here, but in a whole, it gives you an idea of what the Parks Department does. There are 19 Parks employees. They maintain 10 basketball courts, 8 tennis courts, 3 bocce courts, 3 horseshoe pits, 3 football fields, 15 soccer fields, 2 inline hockey rinks, 9 miles of bike paths, 22 softball and baseball fields, and they manage 376 irrigation zones that have 1,775 irrigation heads. There's 147 acres of maintainable grass fields. Maintainable meaning that they cut them just about every week. Sorry, Council President, I said there were a lot of numbers.
You caught me, right?
I did. That
Sorry
wasn't
about
getting by. I pick my head up every now and then. Where was I?
Beaches.
I know, I got it.
18 intersections.
There's 18 intersections maintained by the Parks Department, along with 23 detention basins. They also maintain 10 beach waterfront properties and provide more than 69 acres of lake management. One of the most consuming tasks is the annual fall and spring leaf collection, which takes 10 weeks, starting at the end of October until the second week of January. They then immediately move into Christmas tree collection for 3 weeks before moving into spring leaf collection, which is going on right now. We've requested of the mayor and the council this year to construct a pole barn over at the Parks Department. There's not any room for protection of the equipment over there, and that would add some longevity to very expensive pieces of equipment. 2015 will be a very busy year for us. We're proceeding with plans to refurbish our paver and our milling machine, which will enable our crews to complete some paving projects in the coming year. This had been brought up by this administration in the past. What we identified is that there's about $1 million worth of roads in need of repair, and that we can cut our utility crew loose for a day or two and do those roads in one shot, and we won't fall too far behind on the other tasks that we have. So we're looking forward to doing that, and the guys are happy to do that again. The Public Works Yard will experience some transformation as well. The police firing range will be reconstructed, and we plan to install fencing and security cameras at the site to better secure our equipment. We hope to make some needed repairs and upgrades in the locker room, and we're in the process of securing an epoxy machine, which we will use not only in the garage. We're going to redo the floor and the walls, but Brian Campbell did a lot of research on this, our building and ground supervisor, and there's about 30 different uses from the docks down at Trader's Cove to protecting the beds of the trucks from the salt. So it'll be a good investment. We're also looking into an asset management software which will provide us with a system that not only tracks all of our parts and supplies, but alerts us to the need for oil changes and tire rotations and tracks our expenditures at the end of the year. One of the most critical parts that I see from the software is that at the end of the year, if it costs $15,000 or $20,000 to maintain a vehicle, and the debt service per year is only $10,000, then that system is automatically going to identify a truck that costs more to maintain than to purchase a new one. So, lastly, we'll be working with administration to develop the best approach on how to provide ongoing maintenance at the landfill. And for the first time, we have a full-time, fully dedicated recycling coordinator. Those job assignments that kind of bounced around between different people, myself included. It'll be a main focus. That recycling is still a place where we can save the most money, I think, out of all of our initiatives. We've implemented a strategic approach to increase recycling at commercial businesses and in the senior communities. We've developed a spreadsheet where we can barcode the cans as they're used or not picked up, and we will target those areas and mail an educational letter out to those residents to hopefully inspire them to recycle. We've been going out to make presentations at the condo units, the senior communities, and the school system, and they've come around. There are 8 dedicated recycling liaisons in the schools now who are working directly with our recycling coordinator. Come up with many creative ways to engage people, help them understand the benefits of recycling. The biggest problem that we've faced ongoing is the contamination, and the biggest part of that contamination is the plastic bags, so we're making a concerted effort to educate the public to keep the plastic bags out of the recycling. So once again, I'd like to thank all the DPW employees for their dedication, the great work that they do, and the great job they do every day, and we sincerely appreciate the ongoing support we receive from this mayor and council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Open up the questions to anyone from the council.
I'd just like to quote on a couple things, if I may.
Sure.
Mr. Campbell, again, great season, great job. Your men and women over there, phenomenal job. They always keep it up. I just want to add a little flavor to it, what a great job the DPW does. About a month ago, off of Mount Logan Road, there was a pretty intense fire. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't know if the homeowners at home caught the story, about 2 o'clock in the morning, the building did collapse between the command, OEM, they got together, chiefs on location, brother firefighters. DPW came out and took that house down to the ground about 4 o'clock in the morning with the backhoes. Great teamwork. It just shows you what they can do for the citizens of this town.
Right.
So I just want to add a little favor to that.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Is that the new backhoe we got this year?
That we drove over, yeah.
Got dirty that night.
Came in handy?
Got a little dirty.
Yeah.
Good, good. Anyone else?
I have. Glenn, you forgot the 13 parks and playgrounds you also maintain for parks. Just in case you needed
Missed
some
the
more
number.
numbers. But, I mean, I want to echo the sentiments of Councilman Moore. You guys do a great job. I was over at the shredding this past weekend. There was a line. If anybody was in the line, it was Herbertsville Road. You turned on
To eternity.
And it was, the mayor and I sat in the line. He was 10 cars behind me. I didn't even
Right.
realize it. So they did a great job. You know, they came up to me. They're like, what do you have? You know, what do you need? And there was one truck and one guy that they brought, and then our DPW guys came in and just moved the line as quickly as possible. So that's another example of what a great job our
Thank you.
department does.
I can tell you a story about a rookie we had working there that weekend. We had 3 guys trying to funnel the traffic in, and I won't mention his name, but he's brand new. So when PD shut down the line, guess who had to go tell those residents that?
Oh, no.
Yeah, the new guy.
Oops. All right, thank you. I'll open up to public. Anyone from public have any questions for Mr. Campbell? Sir, sure, come on up.
Do you recognize him without the hat?
Yes, I recognize him without the hat.
If you don't recognize you, Vic Finelli. As I mentioned before, we don't have the same documentation that you have, so it's a little harder to follow what's
Sure.
going on. So I don't know if my question is valid or not, but I'll ask it anyway.
Give it a shot.
Vehicle maintenance salaries and wages, did I hear you say that went up 10%?
Correct.
And you said that was contractual?
Right.
Okay.
And we also hired a new mechanic.
Right.
We also have a new mechanic. That spot was vacant for some time.
Oh, so you add another person?
Right. We didn't really add, we had a gentleman retire a while ago that we didn't replace immediately.
Okay. I just looking at the numbers I have, and it shows for 2014, $565,000 for salary and wages. And in 2015, $680,000 for salary and wages, which is probably about 20% increase, if my math is good.
Right.
You're looking at the data sheet, and it may be outlined the same way that it is in our budget, but there's a portion of the vehicle maintenance salary and a portion of the solid waste salary. That
Okay,
was
what?
vehicle maintenance and solid waste. That was charged to the Essential Services Grant,
Yeah.
so that amount has to be added in to get the true number of the expenditure.
Oh, so that's one of the grant things? but
Yes,
that's-
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else from public? I'll close public. Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, Council
Thank you for
President.
staying for the whole meeting, too. I appreciate that. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Thank you. Resolution 5-1, recognize Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. Again, this resolution recognizes the men and women who served as dispatcher for the township. 5-2, recognize National Library Week, April 12th through 18th. Resolution 5-3, recognize National Volunteer Week, April 12th through April 18th. Vice President DeYoung.
Yes, thank you, Council President. National Volunteer Week began in 1974 by Points of Light organization, and the reason why it was created and has grown exponentially since then is to encourage people to seek out imaginative ways and to engage their communities. Tonight we had Gary Whiteson here from POAC, and later on in the agenda we'll be honoring some more of our volunteers. And we as the township would just like to thank especially our volunteer EMS and our volunteer firefighters who go out and protect our Brick residents, along with, and we want to thank all the other residents who belong to any type of volunteer organization that tries to help make Brick better. So thank you to all of our volunteers.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Vice President.
You're welcome, Council.
Resolution 5-4, recognize Autism Awareness Month, April. Resolution 5-5, recognize Child Abuse Prevention Month for the month of April. Councilwoman Zapsik?
Thank you, Council President. April was first declared Child Abuse Prevention Month by presidential proclamation in 1983. Since then, April has been the time to acknowledge the importance of families and communities working together to prevent child abuse. In 2013, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services reported that in the 50 states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico, an estimated 679,000 children were victims of child abuse, and 1,484 children died as the result of abuse or neglect. A recent CDC study showed that the total lifetime estimated financial cost associated with just 1 year of confirmed cases of child maltreatment is $124 billion. Children's experiences are defined through their environments and relationships with parents, teachers, and other caregivers. Healthy relationships act as a buffer against adverse childhood experiences. They are necessary to ensure the long-term physical and emotional well-being of children. The majority of child abuse cases stem from situations and conditions that can be preventable when community programs and systems are engaged and supportive. A community that cares about early childhood development, parental support, and maternal health, for instance, is more likely to foster nurturing families and healthy children. We do a great job here in Brick Township with the services that we provide to our parents, our children, and our families, and therefore I am fully in support of recognizing Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Very good. Thank you, Councilwoman. Resolution 5-6, authorize emergency temporary appropriation. This resolution allows us to increase line item department budgets as needed until we have an adopted budget. Resolution 5-7, authorize cancellation of grant receivables and appropriated reserve balances. This resolution is for various grants receivables and appropriated grant reserves that remain on the current fund balance sheet, which are no longer valid due to time period of the grants. Resolution 5-8, authorize acceptance of emergency management performance grant. This grant offsets the cost of our This grant offsets the cost of our Office of Emergency Management Coordinator, Joe Polowitz, who always sends out the greatest emails. Warning emails.
Weather.
Blizzards, snowstorms. Thank you, Joe. Resolution 5-9, authorize receipt of bids, ambulance repairs. This bid is for repairs of ambulances after they are no longer covered by warranty. This is a 2-year bid, and the most recent contract with PL Custom Body and Equipment Manasquan is expiring July 14th. Township spent $63,150.59 as part of that contract. 5-11, authorize receipt of bids, Birchwood Park Road Program improvements. Mayor, would you like to elaborate on that, please?
Yes, thank you, Council President. So good news for the residents of Birchwood Park. I know, you have the deal with the impact of that new development behind the post office, and obviously we have the parkway construction going on, a bunch of trees getting knocked down. So Birchwood Park's had some, tough times on both ends of the development, unfortunately. But good news is the roads are going to be paved, and the specific roads are Lakeland, Boxwood, View, Parkway, Ashwood, Cedarwood, Hollywood Drive, Beechwood Drive, Firwood Drive, North Maple, Cedarwood, Cottonwood, and Redwood Drive West. And also Lemonwood. Skip that one. And also in our this year's capital budget, we are going to be authorizing money to redo the park in that area as well. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going to backtrack one because I jumped over one. Resolution 510, authorize receipt of bids, vehicle collision and body repairs. This authorizes the receipt of bids for vehicle and body repairs, not only for accidents but for reconditioning from normal wear and tear. This is a 2-year bid. The most recent bid with Mako Auto Painting Collision Lakewood is expiring on July 14th. Township spent $29,077.06 as part of the contract. The township deductible for motor vehicle accidents is $2,500, and the remainder is paid by the Ocean County Joint Insurance Fund. Now we'll go to 512. Authorize receipts of bids, stormwater basin improvement. The resolution authorized the receipt of bids for repairs to the stormwater basin in the landfill that is not functioning correctly. The landfill closure will require continual maintenance throughout its life, including periodic inspections, landscape maintenance, mowing, tree replacement, etc., burrowing, rodent control, erosion mitigation, and stormwater basin maintenance. Resolution 513, authorize award of bids, recreation uniforms. This authorizes a bid for recreation uniforms to DOT Design LLC, Monroe Township, in accordance with the rate sheet for various items, including youth and adult T-shirts for the different programs we offer, scrimmage vests, marina T-shirts and sweatshirts, tank tops for the lifeguards, polo shorts, police camp uniforms, and golf shorts. Who goes golfing? This is a 2-year contract, and bids submitted are fixed for the duration of the contract. 514, authorize award of bid construction supplies. This authorizes a contract to Bayway Lumber, Linden, in accordance with the approved schedule of prices. Construction supplies in this contract include nominal lumber, pressure-treated lumber, plywood and treated plywood, plexiglass, veneer, and cabinet-grade plywood, drywall, studs, fasteners, and laminates and accessories. This is a 2-year contract, and bids submitted were fixed for the duration of the contract. 515, authorize award of contract Aegis Public Safety Software, Police Department. The resolution authorizes the annual support and license of Aegis, the main police computer system. The contract is being awarded to New World Systems, Troy, Michigan, in the amount of $134,693. New World Systems developed the Aegis Public Safety Software and provide annual maintenance and support. Resolution 516, authorize award of proposal, fair and open process for planning service pool. The township has a pool for professional services, including engineering and architects, but has never created a pool for planning. This resolution establishes a planning pool for the event we need to outsource any specialized projects in 2015. 8 firms submitted proposals, and all have been certified as being qualified for this pool. Those firms include Mazer Consulting, Red Bank, H2M Associates, Parsippany, Burgess Associates, Westwood, Higher Gruel and Associates, Red Bank, T&M Associates, Toms River, Van Cleef Engineering Associates, Hillsborough, Matrix New World, Eatontown, and CME Associates, Howell. 517, authorization to negotiate contract for beer and wine concession. The township took bids twice for the beer and wine concession with no submissions. Therefore, we authorize our business administrator to negotiate the contract. 518, authorize and negotiate contract for food truck concession. The township also took bids twice and received no submissions. So therefore, we authorize our business administrator to negotiate the contract. This is for Bricktoberfest. 519, authorize award of rebid amusement concession for Bricktoberfest. Township took bids on this in March and received one bid that was rejected because the vendor did not address the required component of the bid package. We re-advertised the bid and authorized the contract to Seashore Amusements of Brick. The township will receive $1,200, and it will be a wristband for each child at $20. Mr. Scott will like that. I will too. Resolution 520, authorize removal of 2015 Summerfest food vendors specific categories. We took bids in March and received bids for 4 of the 6 categories. At this time, the contracts are awarded for hot food, sausage, cheesesteak category, the grilled, fried food, hamburgers, hot dogs, grilled chicken, french fries, cheesesteaks, chicken fingers category. The miscellaneous categories will include funnel cakes, Italian ice, fried Oreos, and ice cream category. We did not receive bids for 2 categories, which were pizza and specialty foods. We re-advertised these categories and received no bids. So we feel that we have plenty of food, so we're not going to go out for that. Resolution 521, authorized change order number 1, final Henderson/Harrison Avenue roadway improvement. This resolution approves a change order to decrease the contract to all surface asphalt paving by 8 cents. The contract decreased from $238,192 to $238,191.92. Resolution 522. What's that?
Saving money.
Saving money, that's what we're here. Resolution 522, authorized change order number 1, final Windward Beach Playground improvements. Resolution approves the final change order to decrease the contract to TC Landscaping Construction. It's decreased by $31,099.55. The contract decreased from $187,675 to $156,575.45. Saving more money.
Really saving.
523, authorized change order number 1, final Route 70 eastbound construction. Last meeting, we talked about, we had to do a second change order. This authorized payment on that second change order for that added lane on Route 70. Resolution 524, authorized fireman fund exemption certificate, Michael Berger, Pioneer Hose Fire Company. According to Brick Township Code, a member of any fire company in good standing is entitled to receive an exempt fireman certificate when he has served a total of 7 years service, performing 60% of fire duty during that period. The request for exemption is filed with our township clerk, who receives the information based on the records provided by the fire companies and is verified with the state. Resolution 525, authorized volunteer tuition credit program. Mayor, please.
Thank you. A 1998 law allowed this volunteer tuition credit program, but for some reason it was never done before. But we all know how hard our volunteer firemen work in town, and I've been out to a couple different fires throughout my term as mayor. Laurelton Gardens, I was out there twice, in the movie theater, which was more smoke than fire, and then the first Flaming Grill, not the second one. I wasn't around, but so we all know how hard they work, how much they mean to keep us all safe, and all the work that they did during the hurricane, saving people, and all the hard work volunteering after the hurricane. So it's a volunteer tuition credit program. It permits volunteer fire personnel who are active and in good standing, as well as their spouse and dependent children, to receive tuition credit to a county college, county vocational school, or county technical institute. The intent and purpose of the program is to recognize the services performed by the volunteer personnel as a valuable asset of our community. The Joint Board of Fire Commissioners is the lead agency, and for some reason, like I said, it was from 1998 up all the way up till today. It could have been passed at any point. We did take a look at it. It's something that we definitely want to offer for all of our fire volunteers, and we think so much of what you do for our community that we wanted to give something back to you. So we're passing this volunteer tuition credit program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 526, establish flood mitigation planning committee. This resolution creates a flood mitigation planning committee which will collect data on flood issues, assess the impact of floodwaters on people, property, and public services. They'll review programs and activities developed to mitigate the impact of the hazards. They'll prepare a flood mitigation plan for the township, identify new activities to reduce our vulnerability to flooding, and to hold public meetings to collect input. The committee will serve two very important functions. The first, to satisfy the criteria outlined in the Sandy Planning Grant funds we receive from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs as necessary for the township to enter into the Community Rating System CRS program, which will result in a decrease in flood insurance rates. Members of the committee include our mayor, Councilman Fosman, who is chair of the Council Sandy Committee, our business administrator, township planner, township engineer, DPW superintendent, OEM coordinator, construction official, a representative from the Jacques Cousteau Coastal Center in Tuckerton, a representative from Barnegat Bay Partnership, a representative from Brick MUA, a planning board member, and 4 residents impacted by flooding. Resolution 527, authorize special events permit Camp Zender, Burst the Bubble Triathlon. Camp Zender YMCA is hosting a triathlon 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. on May 31st. The event starts and ends at the YMCA on Herbertsville Road and has received approval from the Brick Township Municipal Utilities as the event route includes their reservoir. Resolution 528, authorize special event permit, Anytime Fitness, Give Back to Veterans. This approves a Give Back to Veterans fundraising concert for the Wounded Warrior Project from 2 to 6 p.m. Saturday, June 13 at Anytime Fitness on Lanes Mill Road. Resolution 529, authorize special event permit, Blitz the Bay. This approval is for a New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection sponsored Blitz of the Bay watershed cleanup at Traders Cove from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on May 31st. Resolution 530, authorize release of cash performance escrow balance, Brick Standard LLC. The required improvements specific to the solar array of the landfill have been completed. Therefore, the township will release a performance bond in the amount of $462,668.86 to Brick Standard. The funds were to be released when the solar array became operational. In October, the site began to generate electricity, and therefore we will be releasing the performance bond and in accordance with the redeveloper's agreement. in the place of the solar array. The township is retaining $52,932.50 from the bond to cover any additional landscaping issues. Billings occurred by the Township Redevelopment Council and electrical supplier termination fees that may be billed to the township. Resolution 531, bond reduction releases. 531A, performance bond release, Twilight Drive in the amount of $2,500. A bond release of 531B, performance bond release, Princeton Avenue to the amount of $33,200, and a cash performance bond in the amount of $3,683.89. 531C, performance bond inspection fund release, Sunset Lane North in the amount of $10,000 plus a $3,281.48 remaining in the engineering inspection fund. 531D, inspection fund release, Burnt Tavern Road in the amount of $591, excuse me. 532, tax collector, 532A, tax overpayments 2015 to block 1192.08, lot 30, 89 Central Boulevard in the amount of $239.21. 532B, tax overpayments due to a state tax appeal granted. Merrimack Brick LLC, Block 41, Lot 2.03, 373 Route 35 South in the amount of $9,315.21. This settlement is for 2 years, 2013 and 2014. Resolution 513C, tax overpayments due to state tax appeal granted. 21st Venture LLC, Block 702.02, Lot 12.02, 720-728, Route 70, in the amount of $16,168.95. This settlement is for 3 years, 2012, 13, and 14. Any questions from the council on the resolutions?
I have a question, Council President.
Please.
On 530, with the Brick Standard LLC, when they put the power lines in from the solar fields to the, connected in by the Brick High School, they were supposed to plant trees back over there at the ball field, so they blocked out the funeral home. They never planted them. The remaining money there should be used, some of that money should be used for that, or have them put it in. I just want to remind everybody about that.
Councilman Fosman, thank you for bringing that to my attention on Friday, and we are taking care of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Council President?
Yes.
513 award of bid recreation uniforms. I just wanted to make the public aware that the majority of the funds that are spent for team uniforms for the Recreation Department, our Rec Department does an outstanding job soliciting sponsors for those teams. So there is a revenue source coming in from which those expenses are offset, so that that doesn't hit the operating budget.
Great, thank you, thank you. Anyone else on the council? Nope. I will open to public on any call for a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion, Mr. President.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Moore, second by...
Pick your favorite.
It was Councilwoman's absent. I'll open to the public on any questions for resolutions. This is on the resolution, correct?
Sam Foster, 108 Eagle Drive. Question on Resolution 511. I live in Birchwood Park, and years ago, we had a big battle during a council meeting because there's some construction with the traffic islands are installed in the park, and no residents knew about it until the construction actually began. And there was like hundreds of people from my neighborhood. I live there in Birchwood Park. I just had a question about that. Is this going to be road work only, or are you going to, you're not going to be doing any? There's not going to be any construction of
Those calming
traffic
circles,
islands?
I think that were going to be put in back then. I don't believe that's on the agenda. It's strictly
It's just
paving.
strictly road paving,
Correct.
nothing else? Yeah, because I was worried about that because, like I said, there was a big uproar in town about that, and hundreds of people came out. Okay, and the other same thing, Resolution 511. Because I live in Birch Park, I'm concerned about this because of what happened then. And I hate those traffic arms that they did install, better than what was originally planned on. Is the work going to be done by township employees, or is this going to be contracted out to an independent contractor?
That's contractors.
Contractor. Is this going to be the same contractor that did the construction of the traffic islands, or the road,
I'm not sure if that's
years
going to be
ago?
exact.
Mr. Foster, we haven't gone out to bid yet.
Oh, I'm sorry,
This
I'm
is
sorry.
authorizing the release of the bid specs. So
Are they
we
gonna-
will, when a contractor submits a bid and it goes through the process and it's in order, it will come back before the council for action to hire the contractor.
Do you know if there haven't been any bids yet then?
No, they
No.
haven't been advertised yet.
This is
that's
to
what they're
authorize
approving
to go
tonight.
out. to
Okay,
bid.
because the concern I have is that there's a lot of complaints from my neighbors about the conduct of the construction crew that did the work in the neighborhood. I was just concerned.
Well,
if
we
they're
don't know who
going-
they are going to be. When we do have that information, you could bring that to our attention at that point.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Sir, in the back. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Sandro. I'm a member of Pioneer Hose Fire Company, and we just wanted to thank the mayor and the council for Resolution 25 for the tuition fund. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for volunteering.
Appreciate it. Thank you all. Thanks for all coming out, too. Anyone else from the public? Sir, come on.
George Scott. On 5/7, where they canceled $75,000 worth of Robin Hood, your explanation was it was a time period reason. People didn't apply for this? For these
It
grants?
wasn't Robin Hood. It was, you want to answer that, Joanne?
This says Robin Hood Relief Fund, $75,000.
That's correct. This was, if I may,
Yes,
Council
please.
President Mumolo, Mr. Scott, this was the funds that were being funneled through the township to the Visitation Relief Center. And they had a time period with which to use it, and the issue was that by accessing these particular funds, it negated folks from being eligible for the RREM money. So there were conditions to it that weren't working in the time frame needed for folks that were also applying for RREM. So this is the funds to Visitation Relief Center that are being returned.
Okay.
I believe there was a question, if they took the funds, then they wouldn't qualify for RREM.
Yeah.
That was the whole,
They wouldn't get
they would
that
have, they
money.
wouldn't get that 150 grand. Yeah, it would have, right.
Okay. 523, I had a question about a flagger getting $76 an hour. I'm going to bypass that question. Where the change order was, come up here and you ask questions, but on 23, I really got to give kudos to the mayor. After discussing most of the resolutions with the business administrator, his going to Trenton to ask for reimbursement for these funds was really a feather in his cap because,
Yeah.
He recuperated almost all of these change orders and it wound up to be a considerable amount of
100,000.
money. So,
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
thank you for that.
I did bring that up at the last meeting. If you were here, you would have heard me say that, but that's okay.
You're not part of the public.
If you watch it on TV, then you would have heard it.
I'd rather hear it from the public than.
Yeah.
Tell him, John. On 525, I had spoken to council about this, and the volunteer that got up just thanked all the work that they do is greatly appreciated. One thing I did ask, when I asked the clerk about this, because I was worried, like, who's going to do the cost? And Joanne said it's no cost to the township for this, which is a wonderful thing. But I understood that this was on the books in 1999. But the mayor said, we've never had this on the books. Did we have it on the books or didn't we have it on the books?
Yes, we did.
That's just, okay. So it was on the books since 1999.
It needs to be refreshed.
Of course.
Here's the big one, 530. You're going to consider giving back $462,668 tonight. I did have some time with the business administrator, asked this question. When she doesn't know something, she reaches out to people that had some information before her, rightfully so. So Mr. Pizarro's joined the meeting to answer my question. I was told when I asked some of the things, I should really read the redevelopment agreement. So on Monday, the business administrator made sure that it was available to me. And here it is, which I had to read.
Okay.
To try to get my answers. I am asking that you not give this money back as of tonight because reading this, there are certain obligations that they have not fulfilled. And I asked Mr. Pizarros about the cost of what we're paying now. He didn't know. He said he'd get back to me. He hasn't gotten back to me. I also spoke to him on Friday. I called him again today, and I said, in addition to this from 2011, there were letters to the township from the redeveloper's attorney from February of 2012, March of 2012, to establish what we were going to pay. At one point, it was based on what the interest rates were going to be for the bonds that we ultimately sold. If we had an interest rate of 4.4%, we were going to pay 0.0875. If it went down to 4.3%, we were only going to pay 8.5 cents. Well, guess what? They were sold in 2014 for 2%, half of the amount. But in a letter from December 20th of 2013, we got whacked with the 8.75. I don't understand the negotiations there. And I said, well, what about the guarantee of the bonds? My house is over collateral, your house is over collateral. I want to make sure that Iron Gate is still on the hook for this. Mr. Pizarros, in front of Joanne, assured me that this is the case and they are on the hook. Well, reading these papers, it specifically says, the obligation to repay the loan by the redeveloper shall be further secured by an unconditional guarantee of Iron State Development, the redeveloper's principal shareholder, the guarantor. In addition, the guarantor shall guarantee completion of the project improvements, which completion guarantee shall remain in place until the commercial operations date. Well, talking again to Joanne, they've started producing electricity in October. Therefore, I read this that they're not on the hook anymore. I called Mr. Pizarros today, and he said, oh, no, you're wrong, Mr. Scott. They still are. That's in another agreement. I said, look at all these papers you gave me. Let me see that. I want to make sure that we're going to be protected. We as taxpayers have that right. And you're telling me that you're saying we do have it. I spoke to the attorney tonight. He said he doesn't think we're protected. He thinks that I'm right in reading this, that there is no guarantee. Mr. Pizarro says there is a guarantee. I think until this is straightened out, don't give them back the $400 and some thousand. You're crazy if you do. Wait until this is resolved. He says all the things are fulfilled. And here, I don't see that. He tells me verbally today that there's another piece of paper. Have you seen that piece of paper that you know for a fact that Iron State is going to protect the cost? Okay, then I really urge you not to give back that $500,000 until the statements that were made are definitely proven.
Council President, if I could make a recommendation.
Please.
The document, the redevelopment agreement that Mr. Scott is referring to is a lengthy agreement. It was negotiated and signed back in 2011. There are specific requirements and details in here. I understand Mr. Scott's point. He's just raised a couple of these points with me just before this meeting tonight. And I would, I know that there's not urgency to this resolution, so that we can sort out these details that he's raised just now. I recommend that this be held until the next meeting, which I think we'll have the time then to work through this.
That sounds, I agree. I think so, too. Counsel?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Make a motion.
Motion to just hold it off till the next
Hold off.
meeting?
Second.
Motion by
Good guys.
Councilman Moore, second by Councilwoman Zapsek.
Thank you for
Thank you.
considering that. It is a lot of money.
No, it is. It's a tremendous amount. Plus what Councilman, what you brought up, Councilman Fosman brought up about the tree line. That's all part of that. Okay. All right, let's move on to Bill Resolution Computer 2015. Oh, roll call. Oh, sorry, I'm cutting everybody off. Time's up. Didn't you hear the bell? Come on back. Yeah, I'm telling you.
First of
You
all,
need that
small
hat.
one for Mr. Scott. Thank you, George. Secondly, on number 25, a couple quick questions. Is this open to EMTs also?
No.
It just says volunteer firemen.
EMTs are,
Oh, it is? Does that say first aid?
So I
First,
thought it
yeah,
said
if they're
EMTs, but
volunteer.
nobody mentioned that. I thought I read EMTs on the computer this afternoon, but I don't trust my memory.
Our resolution has volunteer firefighters and emergency medical volunteers in the Township of Brick.
All right.
Score one for me.
Or one for you.
The EMTs are included.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good thing. When it says tuition credit, how much are we talking about?
$600 a year, total of $2,400 over 4 years.
Not enough. Not enough.
That's what they gave you.
we'll work on that.
Get some more. Really. I was hoping you were
I'll
gonna
go
say-
back out to Trenton.
I was gonna, hope you say it was gonna be full.
Full.
On question 26, if I read this correctly, these meetings are gonna be open to the public?
Well, there's,
That is correct.
Okay. How are we gonna be notified? And how are we gonna know when these meetings are? I might like to attend, aren't you glad?
We'll put the meetings on our website, which we are required to have information on. I think we're going to have a website specific to this activity, and that information will be on there, linked from our homepage to a website specific to this activity.
Okay. I might be interested in attending since I'm surrounded by water.
Okay.
Did you mention there's gonna be 4 members of the public?
They have been appointed.
there you
Have
go.
been appointed
Yes,
already?
yes.
Yeah. Before I even get up to the plate, I'm out. And can I just ask, number 3 in that, Michael Fowler and Tara Paxton, what are they?
Michael Fowler is our township
Town
planner,
planner.
and Tara Paxton is the assistant township planner.
Oh, okay, I got confused by all those letters after their name. I bet you George knew who they were, didn't he? All right, thank you.
He does. Thank you. Anyone else on resolutions? Now I'll close public.
Council President, I just want to clarify, you have a motion now, and I think the easiest way to do it is just to have the motion exclude.
530,
Right.
Resolution 530. We're
Right,
gonna
which wasn't
exclude
voted
that.
on, but you can vote on it as amended by Mr. Moore's motion.
Correct.
Councilman Moore.
I'd like to congratulate Mr. Berger, my brother firefighter. Excellent, well done. I got to abstain on 525 due to that I'm a firefighter in town, and yes to the rest.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yeah, no to 530 and yes to the rest, just to make sure.
Just clarification, 530 is not on for
530 is not on.
a vote. It's been removed
All right.
by.
Right.
Right.
And yes to the rest.
Thank you.
You can still
Vice-
say no to 530 if you like.
Vice President DeYoung.
Yes.
President Mamalo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to the bill resolution computer 2015.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $10,835,547.34.
Anyone from the council have any questions? No questions from council. Motion and a second.
Motion?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fosman, second by Vice President DeYoung. Open to public. Any questions? No questions from public. Close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Abstain on Gannett newspapers and New Jersey press media, and yes to the rest.
Councilman Fosman.
Abstain on the MUA and yes to the rest.
Vice President DeYoung.
Yes.
President Mamalo.
Yes.
Thank you.
34, Bill Resolution Manual 2015.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $1,473,857.28.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? No questions from the council. Motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Vice President DeYoung, second by Councilman Fosman. Open to the public. No questions from the public. Closed public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Abstain, Township payroll. Yes to the rest.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Vice President DeYoung.
Yes.
President Mumolo.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, 6, we have an ordinance of the first reading. It's amended Chapter 245, Land Use Signs. No public hearing on the first, or no public discussion on the first reading.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing the Township Code of the Township of Brick so as to amend Chapter 245 entitled Land Use.
Thank you.
I make a motion?
Oh, I was just going to explain.
Oh, okay, sorry, Chief.
That's okay.
Sorry, Council President.
This is an ordinance that will allow gas stations to put in their fuel pricing signs. What happens is now gas stations come before the Board of Adjustment to get a variance to do these signs. So this ordinance is just going to allow them to come. They're going to be freestanding signs emitting an LED number, just a static number, so it's not a blinking or anything of that nature. Motion and a second.
Make a motion?
I'll second it.
Motion by Councilman Fosman, second by Councilman Moore. Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Vice President DeYoung.
Yes.
President Mumolo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Public comments. Please note, each person addressing the council during this section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B. No one from the public? Thank you. Everyone have a good night.
Second.
Mr. Sluka, you should have seen your face when I said that.
I would have talked whether you guys adjourned the meeting or not. Anyway, because I actually had good news. 2 people in here today already mentioned to me they drove the Parkway for the first time in a while and saw the mess. So just so you know, if you actually do go to Parkway. Here's my letter, which some of you didn't get, I understand, because I'm in the process of getting a new computer and the other one sort of went. So I don't know who got it or who didn't.
I got it.
Some people
I
did. Okay. Yeah?
Got it twice, actually.
Oh.
I didn't get it first time.
No, it was in the same email. It was
Oh.
copied twice.
Might have been. Yeah, I have no idea.
That's okay.
Okay. Dear Mayor Ducey, Council President Paul Mumolo, and the rest of the council. Driving up the Parkway and back after this winter of many snowstorms, the pristine look of the snow surrounding the 8 lanes of the Garden State Parkway is well gone. The soot and road rocks are pushed upon the short divider where work is being done on the new wider and expanded lanes and shoulders. Some say that this was done to prevent car crashes and how dangerous it must have been, but no one considered how dangerous it was for the residents surrounding the parkway as trucks rumble down the road and will now do so in expanded speeds no one will control. I know I heard that there will be signs requesting drivers to keep the speeds under 65 miles per hour, but there are signs now that ask the drivers to keep the speeds under 45 miles an hour, and yet most cars traveling through the area are moving at 75 miles per hour. End above. Seems hard to believe that anyone will control speeds of 300,000 vehicles daily traveling through Brick Township, making the likelihood of accidents more probable. Besides the dangers of these roadway accidents, flying into cyclone fences near children's bus stops and into small wooden barriers at senior residences, there is an immediate hidden dangers associated with the toxins from the vehicles that pollute the air surrounding the Garden State Parkway. I must wonder which is worse. Is it the possibility of cars or tracks barreling down the parkway into bus stops or play areas of children and into the backyards of residents, or is it the hidden danger of the carcinogens eating away at the lungs of all of us, of Ocean County residents? Since each one of us is breathing in the soot and the toxins daily, I wonder if that's just a more equitable way of living, as the NJTA is ruining the health of each one of us equally. Due to various factors, especially polluted environment, this is the first generation to have an expected life expectancy that is less than the one before. Big city residents have often had the higher health risks than suburban counterparts, but with the expansion of roadways through what was once suburban areas, the pollutants are now causing a lower life expectancy, according to many actuaries. I am happy to see that the mayor, or mayor representative actually, still petitioned NJTA commissioners to stop the abuse of the NJTA upon all of Brick residents, but in reality, the commissioners are controlled by big business interest, and without the governor stepping into the situation, there's no relief going to be in sight for these residents of Ocean County. The NJTA, Jamie Foxx, does not owe his allegiance on the job to the residents of Ocean County. He received his appointment from the governor and may listen to his pleas, and maybe the governor does not care about the health of the 76,000 Brick residents, but he may. Mr. Fox, who lives in a tree-lined area in Huntington County, can impose his will on the citizens of Ocean County because he is in a powerful position and proves that he does not care what are the health concerns down here. He receives his compensation because of the money he brings into the NJTA, and for him, $1 million saved on not building a wall to eliminate pollutants and noise is just money the NTA has spent on bonuses and other favors to the supporters. The governor wants us to believe that he has the people's interest in mind, and so, but for the last 2 years, he has shown little interest in the plight of the hundreds of thousands of Ocean County residents that did not get the publicity of those impacted by those natural disasters we've had. In this case, the governor may be the only person who can influence Commissioner Fox to fix this man-made disaster of the Garden State Parkway. I hope the mayor's office continues to petition the governor, not only consider the well-being of these residents who were impacted by natural disasters, but to consider the health of tens of thousands of us who continue to be impacted by this man-made devastation as well. Thanks for your time, and I give you back 6 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you. Or else for the public? Ma'am?
Good evening, everyone. Michelle from Evergreen Woods. Recently, we went to the NJTA on the March 31st Commissioner meeting. Thank you very much for coming. It was a surprise to see you there. Thank you for your support. We pretty much handed their head to them. We told them that they messed up, and in every which way, that even though they were directed by the DEP to install these basins, the DEP broke the law. They didn't have the authority. We showed them the proof, and we pretty much said, so now what's your next step? But they didn't say anything. It could be because the Star Ledger and the Associated Press was there. I don't know. What we need to do now is we need to, with all the facts that we do know, why we do qualify for a wall, and using their own formulas, and why the landscaping will not work, that will just be cosmetic, that they are proposing, that we need to, I guess, make a formal letter. We'll send you all the information that we read to them. You have it on audio, but we have it all written down, so you don't have to sit and listen to the whole thing, whatever. And tell them, I mean, don't ask them, tell them, you did this, we require this. You can do it nicely, but you have to ask them, you don't ask them, but just say, you need to do this. Because if Evergreen gets a wall, it opens the gate for every other community that got hurt. I mean, we've been pushing very hard for a long time. We'll continue to go to newspapers and media or whatever till this gets done, but it has to get done. They can't get away with this. They broke the law. Even if DEP said, okay, you do this, DEP did not have the authority. So they put the basins, they cut down the entire, for miles, the center median. It looks like a moonscape. So now we have basins there that will actually diminish water quality. And they were actually using 20-year-old standards. There's no lead in gasoline. And this is what they're saying, oh, you know, lead and all these other heavy metals. There's no lead in gasoline anymore. They're using old standards to qualify why they needed to put these basins in. And if they hadn't cut down the basins, then they wouldn't have to cut down the shoulders, and we wouldn't be here. I could be home. I could be finishing my novel right now. I would rather be home doing that than doing this. So we need to do that. So we'll send you that. And it's just amazing that they spent millions on these basins, and yet they're complaining because we're asking for a short length of wall. And it doesn't even have to be the most expensive. There's a lot less expensive walls that will be just as effective, that all the communities could get something. Because now, and the other thing was, there's going to be basins in the overpass. There's 3 basins there. All I have to say is one word: mosquitoes. We've had like the worst mosquito since they put the basin in. We had mosquito. I walk out my door and they just set on me. I mean, it's horrible now, and we shouldn't have to breathe. I shouldn't have to tell boys that are playing along, kids that are playing along the road, if you smell burnt plastic, play further in. I shouldn't have to tell kids this. Okay, they're breathing this in. Okay, and this is the summer. There's going to be nothing stopping it. It's going to be heavy summer traffic. It's going to be fumes. It's going to be noise. And as soon as they take, and they won't even leave those cement barriers until we think of something to do. That's going to come away, and they don't care. As soon as we walked out of that meeting, they've forgotten about us. But we can't forget about everybody else. If we don't get help, then we can't get help for anybody, any other communities. So we have to do something. We can't take no for an answer. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Sir?
Stephen Brill, Evergreen Woods, Asbury Park Press, March 15th, 2015. Editorial: You bought it, you live with the noise. Number 1 rule in real estate is location, location, location. Let's follow the Asbury Park Press reasoning. When Superstorm Sandy impacted those homes next to the ocean in Brick Township, they should not have been aided in their recovery using public resources. They knew the risks. They should have prepared for that eventuality. And yet they were not told by this council, county, state, or federal government to get their own lawyers. In fact, almost each layer of government, using public resources, decided a course of action to mitigate their immediate needs and protect them from their short-sighted self-interest of buying a property next to the ocean. A steel revetment and dune system was devised to protect them. It is being paid for with public money, not just by those who choose to live by the ocean, but by all taxpayers. It is being built on private property obtained by eminent domain or easements. Regarding the current situation at Evergreen Woods development, the editor should have read the Turnpike Authority EO 215 report. He should have noted that the tree buffers provided 12 to 17 dBA sound reduction. The editor must have missed that the parkway was indeed moved closer to Evergreen Woods and other areas bordering the parkway. The scare tactic of the cost of a sound wall at $3 million a mile ignores the fact that a sound wall much less than a mile is needed. A sound study was performed at Evergreen Woods by Ocean County and the Turnpike Authority. And yes, a sound barrier is mandated. Why does the Turnpike Authority insist on using the cost of precast concrete for a sound barrier? In Pennsylvania, they are using a sound barrier that is 1/3 the cost. The editor should be aware that at no time did any homeowners say that the improvements were not needed. As for filling in with new plantings, as per the Turnpike Authority meeting, this is not feasible, which is why they funded the No Net Loss program. An article appeared in the Asbury Park Press. Within that article, a township official noted that the problem is not limited to Evergreen Woods, but other communities within Brick Township's borders. But according to what was stated at the last council meeting, even though it is a township-wide problem, my elected representatives are refusing to acknowledge their duty to protect and to serve them. Should the affected communities get their own lawyers and not avail themselves of the township's resources that they paid for? This council defended their position by stating, look at all we have done for you. We passed a resolution supporting you. We refused to condemn a property needed by Ocean County. I take issue with your position. That resolution was not initiated by the council, but by me. As for the condemnation of the property, if the homeowners had not voiced their disapproval of further devastation within Brick Township, the condemnation would have passed. Further, this council knew that their action was in effect just for show, as the county immediately moved to condemn that parcel of land. I asked for a subcommittee to gather the facts and propose a solution, not unlike what was done for Maple Leaf. No, I was informed the executive branch would take over our problem. The mayor brought Evergreen Woods' situation up during a meeting with the head of the Department of Transportation. Keep in mind that this meeting was not limited to Evergreen Woods' situation or to just one area of Brick Township. That outcome could have been predicted in advance, and maybe it was. Did you know that the head of the DOT is in fact the head of the Turnpike Authority? Does this council feel that the meeting with Jamie Foxx was impartial? There's nothing surprising about Mr. Fox's decision. Did you know the governor is also a Turnpike Authority member? If the Turnpike Authority's actions are appealed to the highest level of state government, that road leads to the governor's office, the same office that approves the Turnpike Authority's meeting minutes. Well now, little wonder why the authority receives so little oversight. A conflict of interest, a potential violation of ethics rules, a violation of the public trust? You be the judge. Closer to home, a recent statement was included on every homeowner water bill or water bill payer in Brick Township regarding the possible presence of lead coming out of their faucets. But according to that statement, the fault lies not with the chemical treatment performed by the Brick MUA, but the individual residents' pipes. What was not stated was that the chemical treatment change might well have caused this situation. So I wonder if an investigation was performed into whether the experts knew this was a likely and potentially dangerous outcome. Who made that decision to make the change? Or maybe each resident should get their own lawyer. East Brunswick. They were denied a sound barrier, even though their area was studied and did not meet Turnpike Authority guidelines. An excuse was made in this chamber that their situation was different, yet they're getting a sound barrier extension. In the Ocean County Turnpike study for Interchange 91, a sound barrier would have been constructed and it too could have been extended. But due to the improper use of the number of affected homes versus the sound barrier length of 1,389 feet, which I add would have protected the entire Evergreen Woods border, this barrier would have spanned both interrelated projects. The resultant cost calculation was erroneous. The sole purpose of this exercise was to lower Turnpike Authority costs. For a state that is in such dire financial condition, why would the county turn down $3 million of federal highway grant money? Could it be that the only way to circumvent attendant federal regulations? Has the council and mayor used all available options open to them? You have not. If this dispute cannot be settled by appealing to our county, state legislature, the state DOT, Turnpike Authority, and the executive branch, you must pursue this matter in the only branch of government remaining. You must initiate legal action. I remind you that the only reason you occupy your positions is to serve the essential needs of the people of Brick Township. If you cannot, will not, refuse to fulfill your obligation to protect and serve, you must resign. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Sir. I was going to have him come up. He didn't.
Couple of things. The next meeting, 4/21, is that when you're going to have approval of the budget?
That's
We're going to have our budget hearing on that.
hearing.
Budget hearing. Okay.
We may not be able to formally approve until we have word on the essential services grant, but we will have a
Which
hearing.
we don't know
and
when
then
that's happening.
Adopt the grant at the time adopt the budget at the time the grant is announced.
Okay. Do you have a time frame when we're supposed to get an answer?
Last we heard was June.
June. Okay. A question to you or through the chair. Do we know, as far as the new ordinance for the banks registering for pre-foreclosures and foreclosures on vacant property, how many people have been fined, how many banks have been fined, how many summonses have been issued?
I don't have that number. I don't know whether we
Last
haven't
I knew
really
it was
called
zero.
on some. What's that?
The last I knew, about a week and a half, it was
Zero.
We've had different occasions where a bank will come in, they've had problems with the property and so forth, they didn't register. What's taken so long? I mean, this was to move things forward. They're supposed to pay $2,500 a day for every day they don't register. I know the clerk has mailed out, and she said 30 to 45 letters to mortgage companies, banks. What's taken us so long?
That I don't have an answer for.
I'll check into that, and
Yeah,
I'll report
we-
back to the council, and I'll also contact you, Mr. Scott. I can't answer that tonight.
Okay. Along those lines, my question again to you or to the administration, wondered if we've done anything, and I heard the mayor's comments when he was proposing his budget as to the amount of money that we lost because of Sandy, you know, the tax collections being down. One of the reasons that they're down is people are trying to get things done. But when you wait for a utility company and they tell you it's a 6 to 8 week time frame, what are we doing to, that's just ludicrous. I mean, if they're that behind, that means they have a ton of work. Are we doing anything to move that forward?
Yes.
That's just
May I?
nuts.
May I make a comment? The mayor reached out to New Jersey Natural Gas and had the president of our region in charge of Rick in for a meeting where we gave him an illustration of folks that were waiting an inordinate amount of time, because the feedback we got from folks that were elevating was that it was mainly the gas utility that was holding them up. He requested the meeting, they came in, we outlined several cases for them, and they put assurances in place for us that they would, we have contact numbers that we can reach out to for people to specifically help us if we have somebody that's waiting, and I believe that will greatly improve that system.
So with what you're saying, because I just talked to somebody yesterday where their house is vacant, they want to now do the house over, but they were told it's going to be at least 2 months before the gas companies get there. Can they contact you and then have this length of time shortened?
Absolutely.
Okay, okay. How does it work for the MUA? I mean, you're on that board.
Yes.
Is there a short, how long before they get there? Do you know?
No, they're quick. Committees that I'm on, I haven't heard any delays or anything.
What they do tell folks is 48 hours. That they've been very timely.
Even fine. Okay.
And in fact, you know, we've had folks that are just desperately trying to get a CO for some reason, and every time I've called, and I haven't had to ask Councilman Fosman or the chairman, I call, you know, a counterpart I have over there, and they move things fast. Even in those cases, even less than 48 hours.
I don't believe we have a problem with
The
that.
MUA has not been an issue.
It's
My
electric
my last
gas.
question in public then. Would you happen to know what the time frame is to get a building permit approved in the building department downstairs?
There is no set time frame. I mean, there could be so many variables that come back, and I'm going to address that in my comments at the end, because it's becoming a problem where contractors.
A guy doing work across the way applied for a permit for a deck, and he said he's waiting 7 weeks. That just seems like an absorbent amount of time to wait 7 weeks. I don't know whether he's throwing the ball and he's just
Right.
putting the job off,
I mean, it has
or
to
is
go
it
to
taking
zoning,
7 weeks?
it has to go to various departments, and you can imagine it's very busy down there. What's happening, I mean, what happens with contractors now are putting the blame on the township, when it's not the township. That's why people out there.
That's why I'm
that-
asking this question. I mean,
People should call and.
Who is it?
And people should call and check on their own permits, because.
If I may.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, I'm just jumping right in. But I want to point out that there is a new initiative downstairs in terms of building building permits and moving permits through, where everyone who comes in for a permit is assigned a point person for that permit. So you will come in, if your permit is deemed complete and submitted, at some point that same day, you will get an email from someone introducing themselves as a Township of Brick permit clerk. I am assigned to your permit, I will be emailing you every step of the way with if you've passed through one of these departments into the next. If you failed, attach a sheet from the subcode official as to why you failed. So that person, your neighbor, should have a point person that he or she is dealing with. If not, there's a first red flag there, and they can call me and I'll help them figure that person out. But what I imagine Council President Mumolo is going to talk about in his comments is that when we get these calls, I've been waiting 7 weeks or 8 weeks, and then we go downstairs and pull the jacket and recreate the history. A lot of times the contractors aren't always honest with the timelines. They will tell folks, oh, I submitted that 8 weeks ago, and we've just had it submitted the day before.
Okay.
So we're getting a lot of disconnect. So when folks come in with their permit, we ask, who do you want to be contacted? And so the permit clerk may be introducing themselves to the contractor at the homeowner's request, and they may not be getting these updates from the permit clerk, but that can easily be adjusted. More than one person can get that email. And I would encourage that your neighbor to give me a call and let me help them figure out what's going on.
I mean, now that, I know that there's a policy, it makes it a lot easier because I think people are sloughing off and blaming the town, and that's wrong. That's just plain wrong. I mean, if it's 3 weeks or an average of whatever, I just don't want people thinking that people aren't doing their job here, because I'm here a lot. I see it getting done,
I've been getting quite a few calls, and I've helped people with situations that's happened where they're blaming the town, and I've got all the information. It's not the town, it's the actual contractor.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you. Next from the, you can come up.
James Cancel, Maple Leaf Park. First of all, I want to thank you for your steadfastness and integrity in passing the rental ordinance. I have an affidavit from 2011 saying that the board met with this township council 4 times and nothing was ever accomplished. So you've done something to help and fortify this town and make it stronger. I thank you. But even as the Apostle Paul said, I know you love each other, but I urge you to love each other more. I got to come to you and say, hey, we got to do more. You're aware that, or are you aware that, a couple weeks ago there was an arrest made, credited to the state police. 265 Woodlake Manor in Lakewood, but they also occupied a hotel in Brick. Four people arrested, an AK-47, an ammo clip of 100 rounds, stashes of heroin, 9mm ammo, whatever, the whole gamut. I looked up one of the people. They had lived in Colorado, Florida, several places, had 9 incidents on their record. I also called over in Lakewood Housing. It was owned by a Jewish landlord. Not that it matters, it could have been anybody. And when I called to find out information on it, they hung up on me. Listen, I live in Maple Leaf. A few weeks ago, my son was back there, was asked for change of a $20 bill. It was a counterfeit $20 bill.
This again was, this is the same
No,
thing
I'm
we
getting to a police
discussed.
point. I'm good.
Okay,
I'm
continue,
good.
go ahead.
I'm talking about police policy now. I'm talking about a crime fighter model versus what we have now.
If you would like to talk police policy, I suggest you do that with our police chief after the meeting.
Yeah, again, we
That's the most
don't
appropriate
control.
forum.
Am I not allowed to
Police department.
speak about my community and?
Well,
and
go ahead, continue.
What I'd like to see? Are you really going to censor that?
Well,
I've
allow you, go
talked
ahead.
with the chief. He's a big man. He told me I can take it. So what I'm asking for here is a crime fighting model, fight crime, not just sit back and make arrests, not just hang out and watch kids with backpacks walk around, older kids with backpacks when there is no school, and sit in a car. That doesn't make any sense to me. And that's not how I grew up. I got a son in the Marine Corps right now, the Expeditionary Forces. Guess what? He has to go if we battle. He's had jungle training, desert training. He makes a lot less than the police do. And I grew up and I trained my boys the same way. I'm just that kind of man. I don't get how you don't confront evil and bad. And it's not a crime. I keep hearing about constitutional rights. A lady called me the other day, said she had mentioned to the police that she thought they were dealing. Her comment back from the police was, how do you know? Just like a snotty remark. I just don't get it. I don't get this. A copter, it was announced weeks ago that a helicopter crashed. 7 Marines died and some Army. I had to sit there and wonder, was my son one of them? So all I'm asking for is a little aggressive going up to a group. Hi, how are you? What are you doing? Something, some kind of intervention. You honored a police officer here several weeks ago. He had over 800 traffic stops. You mentioned it, Mr. Mamulo. Over 500 tickets. It's a lot of money. That's a great job. And 88 arrests. All right? You pull over a car. That's one thing. All I'm asking, if that's so great, is why not go up and interact? Why not talk? You will save on the back end of this money, time, and headache. I've talked with the chief, and he says, well, Maple Leaf is 1% of the population. Well, Michael Brown was one person out there in Ferguson, Missouri. One person, and he changed the whole landscape of the town and the state. And this is what I'm talking about. We have that here. This AK-47, if you delve into it, it means the ante's up. It's not a pea shooter. AK-47 signifies something. It's a little bigger. So I'm asking you to adopt a motif for brick. I'm asking you to adopt something that says, what goes on in Lakewood stays in Lakewood. Well, yeah, they want to go ahead and do that. Let it stay there. Be aggressive with code enforcement. Be aggressive with the police. And I mean aggressive, be kind, militantly kind. But ask. What I want to say is...
Wrap it up, please.
Yeah, I know. You always do that to me. Give me 1 second. What I want to say is, you will save a lot of money, time, and headache if you'll do this. And I, for the life of me, don't get why you don't.
Anyone else from the public? Sir.
Steve Cancel, Sawmill Road, Maple Leaf Park. Good evening, board, mayor. First, I'd like to, I'm basically gonna, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna follow up what my dad said, not say the exact same thing. But number one, that I have full confidence in this board. 2, I have full confidence in the police force. I really do. And it's not just, there's things been done, and there's further potential. I'd like to thank also the emergency. We have good emergency actors. There was a fire a couple months ago at Chambers Bridge Residence. I worked there, and I wasn't there when it happened, but we had a guy. He died. He died of a heart attack, and it was the EMTs that recognized that he was having the heart attack. They were on it. They're skilled, and I used to dress this guy every morning that I worked, just to put his shoes on, put his underwear on, whatever it was. I'm a caretaker for him, but they have an awards banquet, and they would always get excited about it, and they would always say that the mayor was there. That meant something to them, that you, sir, were there, that it was a big deal to them. So all these things, I see all these things, and they're all good. But like my dad said, there's something missing. That ordinance that was passed, what that did, that was bigger than an ordinance. It was bigger than the threat of punishment. What it did was it implanted a moral code in the minds of every landlord who really doesn't want to do the right thing, who has to be pushed to do the right thing. If you're doing the right thing, the ordinance isn't going to affect you anyway. So, but it wasn't a defensive move. It was an offensive move that provides a defense. And so I'm not here to really address the board. I'm really here to address, I guess, the board about the policing, as my dad did. I was in Europe last week. Went to 4 different countries: Belgium, France, Amsterdam, Netherlands, and Germany. And we went to Dachau, the Holocaust, the concentration camp site. And everyone was talking about how they felt about it and all that. But in my mind, I was thinking about that, but also the 148 Kenyans that got gunned down last week in one sitting. Forget the day, in one sitting. And I got a brother who's attached to Unit 1A in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina Marine Corps, who's sitting in the barracks while this was happening. Not because he wanted to be in the barracks, but because somebody outside of his control, we have a government, or we have an atmosphere and a philosophy of hesitancy or political correctness or inaction or distraction that didn't deem it important enough to prevent this rather than clean up the mess afterwards. And I'm not making an allegory to Brick at all, but what I'm saying is that one philosophy, a lack of aggression, a lack of getting in there and getting hands dirty, and not being necessarily afraid of a political red tape, could have saved 148 Kenyans. I've seen police do awesome things. I've seen police be aggressive. I've seen them yell at young men who wanted to walk across a crime scene, and I'm impressed. And I've seen a lot of studs on the police force. I've seen a lot of young guys, and all I'm really saying is unleash these guys. To the chief, let these guys get unleashed. Let them go after bad guys before something. And nothing bad really has happened on a dramatic scale, but before it does, the best thing is to unleash these, let them build muscle. There's no better time. Brick was, I think, #2 safest city in the country 10 years ago. 10 years ago. We're still safe. I feel safe, but we're not #2, and I don't think we're #2 in the state. And being more aggressive and adapting this philosophy my dad's talking about is the cheapest, quickest, easiest way to do it. It doesn't involve money. It doesn't involve a vote. It doesn't involve a consensus. It involves really results and a more aggressive philosophy for the police. I'm speaking from living in Sawmill Road, by the way. I'm speaking from someone who looks out the window and walks out to the car and walks to the mailbox and sees these things. So I guess the question is, can the police honestly answer this? Have you built a wall brick by brick, no pun intended, brick by brick, to protect Brick as quickly, as fastly, and as aggressive as the scumbags come in to deal drugs and pass through? Have you met them at their pace? Has the police really tried to get there before them? I'm not seeing it. I could be wrong, but I know that you guys are good and it can be done.
Sir.
Sam Foster, 108 Teagle Drive. Quick question for you. It's kind of a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I'm planning on having a garden this year, and I've been putting off for 5 years, still haven't grown one. I had a question. Simple one is an ordinance question. I don't know if I don't know who else to ask, but is a homeowner allowed to grow vegetables on their front lawn? The reason why I'm asking is because in some states, people have been prevented from doing so, and even been fined by the township. I know you laughed, but I don't want to cut my grass anymore, and I was planning on just ripping it up.
Vegetables in the front?
Well, fruit trees.
I honestly don't know.
Because before I do it, I don't want to get fined or be forced to rip them all down.
Check with code.
Yeah, check with code.
Who would I ask about? Who would I go to? What department?
Code department.
I can follow up with you tomorrow, Mr. Foster.
So I might be a farmer's market with my blueberries and strawberries. Because, like I said, my fantasy is just to rip out all my grass so I don't have to cut it anymore and worry about lawn cutting. That's one question. Another question I wanted to respond to the last two speakers. Not respond to them, I know I shouldn't do that, but I wanted to make a comment about what was brought up with the last two speakers. Why, my uncle used to live in Maple Leaf Gardens, and I used to live in Evergreen Woods, and I know that we used to have foot patrols of police and also bicycle patrols. Now, I came to the meeting late, so I don't know what was said earlier in the meeting about one of the speakers said something about there was an officer that was commended for the amount of traffic tickets he wrote. I wasn't here, so I don't know if it happened or not. But the question that I have is, why can't we be more proactive with the police? Because as far as getting out there, meeting the public, because I know Lakewood did that when they had initiated street patrols. Lakewood is still a mess. I mean, I'm afraid to drive through there in the daytime. But it's not nowhere near as bad as it was in the past when I used to have to pick up my uncle or my cousins from the bus station here. It was a nightmare. Absolutely disgusting. It was terrible. But they had police patrols on foot, and I wanted to know, just suggesting this, is my idea is, why can't we have just go back to the days of in which we had the police with their
The
bicycles?
council doesn't control the police department.
Well, I'm
This
just
was brought
mentioning
up
this,
on our
but
last
the mayor's
meeting.
here, and he has authority over the chief of police, something you can suggest, or maybe when you write the budget, you could appropriate some money in the budget to do something that would, enable upgraded bicycles or whatever, because when New York City had a crime problem back in the 90s, Mayor Giuliani took over, mentioned this at the council meetings before, and the crime rate dropped in New York because they got police out of the police stations and hired civilian employees to do the work, the paperwork of the police, and they put them on the streets, and the crime rate dropped by putting the police on beat patrol. And, we do have a problem in town with drugs and crime. Like I said, I lived in Evergreen Woods, and my uncle, and I visited him at Maple Leaf Gardens, and I feel that this would be a good way to get the police out there to keep an eye on things and their ear to the ground, so to speak.
They'll be in great shape, too. Just think about that, riding around their bicycles.
I did
There you go.
20 minutes of walking today.
There
so,
you go. Good.
yeah, now I'm going to go eat dessert now. But that's a suggestion that I have, because, like I said, we do have a problem with the drugs in town, and also one of the
We're
questions.
well aware of it. We're well aware of it.
And also, I remember Councilman Fosman had a suggestion when he ran for council years ago, was to have a anti-gang task force. Is that currently in place with the police department, or do we have one, or do you know?
That's in place.
That's in place.
It's happened. It's in place
We
as
do?
we speak.
Because, I know we have a SWAT team also, so my thought was that since you have a SWAT team in town already that's trained in how to deal with violent crime, one suggestion I'd like to suggest to the council, when you're doing the budget and everything, is to appropriate money so that the SWAT team can be used as an anti-drug task force and go around to the areas in town where citizens have stood at the microphone and stated that there's drug dealing going on, and do something about the drug problem, rather than having people complain. It's been going on for years now, since the days of Lawton Mobile Home Park, about the crime in town. And one final thing I want to ask is that I was writing, so I wasn't paying too much attention, but just want to make a point about what happened in Ferguson and I also want to mention that, but it's important that we understand that it's one thing to, well, actually, I'm not going to mention that because it's too controversial, and I don't want to get into that, but I just want to make a suggestion about increased police patrols, foot patrol, bicycle patrol, because it's important to get the police out there to get to know the public and find out what is going on. I know when I was in Evergreen Woods, I had the police every night. I saw them out there. They would park their cars and they'd walk. I don't know if you call it a beat, and that was they would people would come up to them. They would know what's going on, and that helped them with the relations with the public. And I know that was a different
Wrap it up, please.
police
Thank
chief, and
you made your point. We understand.
Okay,
Thank you. Ma'am, in the back,
Council President, just as she's walking up, if I could say, we do have, we instituted the program to get more cops out on the street with the special police officers doing the court security as well as all the bookings. So now a regular police officer makes an arrest, basically, so to speak, drops them off here at the police station. Special police officer takes them from that point on to do all the booking, the photographing, the fingerprinting and all, so that the regular police officer's right back on the street. So we definitely did institute that policy. Sorry, thank you.
Mancall, I actually intended to only say one thing tonight, and now, after public comments, I have at least 5. I'm going to touch upon the things that seem to be most important. The first thing is, I have a mantra. I usually have one for different times of the year. Right now, it's happy spring to everyone, and to everyone who is an observant person, happy holy season, because so many of us in various religions are having it. I don't want to offend, but those who observe, I want you to enjoy your holy season. Let me think. Mayor Giuliani. Mayor Giuliani was, when he was born, his family lived a couple of blocks from me. He started grade school in my brother's class in St. Francis of Assisi in Brooklyn. When he was campaigning to run for mayor, I never realized that, yes, I was active in the political scene even before I moved to Brick. And when he said where he grew up, I stopped him on the way out of the Mill Basin Civic Association meeting and asked him, where was that? And said, oh, and found out. St. Francis of Assisi, shook his hand. We talked, and I had a couple of interactions. After that, I was there. I lived in Brooklyn. I know what he did. I know how he did it. I know he sometimes failed. The block I was living at in Mill Basin area, a couple of doors away from me, there was a house that was written up in the local papers many times, including the time when it was abandoned and somebody lured a delivery man there and killed him. Chinese food. For years, we were at the Mill Basin meetings. We had police there. We had community patrols. And we said, it is full of drug people that go in there. There were, I guess they were the Bloods, not the Crips. They came from a nearby project with the red bandanas. They couldn't get a handle on it, and not going into that. But to equate it, as far as Brick having been the safest city, well, at the same time, and I think continuing, New York City is the safest city of its size.
New York City is 8 million people. We're
But-
70-something thousand. What is your, where are you
President
going? I don't
Mamalo.
understand. I'm
Well,
losing it.
maybe if you let me finish it instead of
I'm
interjecting.
I'm trying. Go ahead.
New York City is considered the safest city for its size. It has nothing to do with how much crime is committed here. It has to do with the solve rate and the efficiency, effectiveness of the police force. And we have a good police force here. New York City has one. Does it mean there's no crime or low crime? No, it doesn't. It means they solve most of the crime that happens. Occasionally they don't. So when people talk about certain things, they don't have the accurate facts. Brick is still safe. As far as building it brick by brick, let the people form their own community patrol. I was living in Brooklyn when an area that was very Jewish started to have people that were residents that were very black, and the next thing you knew, these two converged and the Jewish people would be set upon. They formed their own community association, so to speak. They went out on patrol. They went out and reached out to the newcomers that were good people, and they solved the issue without the police necessarily doing it. It's not always the police's job. And unless everybody is going to stand up and be willing to have their own child be found in a drug den buying drugs and be prosecuted, you can't expect the police to solve the crime rate. My time is up. So again, happy spring, happy holy season.
Ma'am.
Mr. President, I just want to address add a little bit to that.
Go ahead.
The police department in New York City also has a little help from about, I'm going to say, as of right now, about 15,000 guardian angels that also assist.
And I don't know how large the police force is, but
Well,
it's
not,
very
that's
large.
not, but the guardian angels are your red hats that they report to neighborhoods, and they patrol the neighborhoods over there. But that's what they have. Sure, we'd like to have that over here, but
Thank you,
I think our police department's doing fantastic.
Hi, Donna Smith, Evergreen Woods, and I just want to say one thing about Maple Leaf. Evergreen Woods paid for extra police protection. I mean, we had them come in there a couple times. We paid for that. They did foot patrol. We did that watch. You're not allowed to touch anybody. You're into more trouble having a watch. Times aren't like what the Jewish people used to do. You can't do that. And I just want to say that, and I want to say thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Hal Payton, 173 McKinley Court. How's it going, council, mayor, chief? Just calling, my first time to a meeting, very engageful. 5-year resident of Brick. My wife is a longtime resident. Brick Mustang, Brick Memorial, soccer team, 4-peat, I drove 3-peat. So we're not moving out of Brick. I'm a military veteran, so that's my question. We have, right now, I get a $250 tax exempt for being a veteran.
Right.
I keep up with the Bricktown Council stuff, and I don't really see if there's any reform to that, maybe to bring it a little bit higher, to try to help our brick veterans with the tax
I'm
exempt.
not sure if that's done by
It's a
us or it's
state.
done by a state.
That's by state law.
Oh,
It's state
okay.
law.
I'm not familiar with
Yeah.
that. All right, well, that was my own question. I apologize. Thank you. Thanks for
No
your time.
problem. Good for coming. Anyone else from public? Sir, if you're going to rebuttal, if you're going to, I'm not going to get into a rebuttal. Okay, well, come up, then come up.
You're not getting a Christmas card from me. Jim Cancel, Maple Leaf. All I want to say is, I read about some of the politics that went on with this committee, and Machiavelli said, there is no moral in politics. That aside, I just think you're a man's man, and I think they're in short supply.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from public? Sir?
I'll be quick.
Set the clock to 1 minute, please.
Mr. Campbell said, nobody ever calls up and said you do a great job, so I'd just like to say you're doing a great job. And I know it was a tough year, and I live out in the water, and we used to never get snow plowed, and everything was great this year, so thank you.
Who's out
and
on
your
the
people.
water?
Secondly, I had a lot more questions about the budget, but I had to sit down with Ms. Bergen and Mr. Pizarris, and they answered all my questions, so I understood about 80% of what they said, but that's okay. It's good enough for me.
I always ask them to translate it into English for me.
What is that? You only
We know what you're
understood
talking about.
70%?
No, I ask them to translate it into English for me whenever I ask a question.
Last but not least, I brought a chocolate cake in last month to the town clerk's office, and the very next day I got a white envelope with my homestead rebate in it. So tonight I'm going
Lucky you.
home and carrot cake.
Wow.
Carrot
Left
cake.
over from
If
the
you
garden
cook,
game that
okay,
night.
gluten-free.
And I want to know if I bring in carrot cake, what can I expect?
Good for me, Mr.
A
Fernandez.
tax bill.
Okay, chocolate cake. I just want to know that regarding that,
I think it's important to say I had nothing to do with the check that came in the mail, and neither did the chocolate.
Yeah.
all
And
I
I
know
shared
That's a
the
different
chocolate cake with
department. It is.
everybody.
It is a different department.
not only did I get it the next day, but on top of that, I got it 3 days before Mr. Scott got his.
We'll work on that next year. Anyone else from the public? Seeing none, closing public. Council comments. Our business administrator,
I have nothing further, but thank you.
mayor, hurry up, take your time.
He has 20 minutes.
Hurry up, take your time.
All right, our spring leaf collection started this week. Check out our website and BTV for the scheduled pickup. The schedule is rotating. There was a lot of complaints that the same people always had to go first. It's more so for like the fall, winter pickup, because people always said every year it's always my house with the Christmas week pickup and everything. So we're rotating it. Take a look at the schedule. Brick Township celebrating 10 years as a Tree City USA with the Arbor Day Foundation. So it's a big accomplishment for those that were involved from the beginning 10 years ago of getting us involved with it. And there's a number of different requirements which we've met over the past 10 years. So congratulations to everybody who's been involved with that program, Tara Paxton in particular here. Our Shade Tree Commission is looking for photos of the most unusual tree in Brick Township. Entries are being accepted until April 10th, and a prize is going to be awarded to the winner. And there's more information on our website and our Facebook page. The township is hosting a food drive for the United Way of Ocean County during the month of April. Non-perishable food items and toiletries will be collected. Bins are in the municipal building on both main and lower levels, and donations will go to local pantries here in Ocean County. So it's not going to be shipped anywhere else. It's going to stay right here in the county itself. This Saturday, April 11th, is Brick Little Leagues and the Brick American Cal Ripken Leagues opening days. So good luck to all, as well as the girls' softball opening day is Friday, April 24th. And hopefully everybody has a safe and happy and healthy season, all the kids. Don't forget, Brick, we finally have a Brick Farmers Market. It starts April 25th. and it goes all the way to September 12th. So it's every single Saturday morning from April 25th to September 12th from 9 a.m. to noon, and it's going to be at Windward Beach Park. We originally were talking about it up at Havens Farm, but they didn't have enough electricity and water, and that's what the vendors need. So we're having it at Windward Beach, which is more centrally located as well, which is good, every single Saturday except for the 4th of July. So there's going to be a lot of fresh vegetables. There's going to be other different types of vendors there, and it's going to be a healthy option to go along with all the other dining options we have here in Brick. Our semi-annual beach cleanup will also take place on Saturday, April 25th from 9 a.m. to 12:30, beginning at Brick Beach 3, and it works north until the whole job is complete. And also on April 25th is Brick Day at the Lakewood Blue Claws. It's Saturday, April 25th. The first pitch is at 3:30 and the game's at 4:05. Brick Day means we're going to have a bunch of brick businesses in the concourse area advertising what they do here in town, and maybe have some giveaways, things like that. So stop by each of those tables. There's going to be a brick person that sings the national anthem. It's a brick student who's going to sing the national anthem. I'm going to be able to throw out the first pitch at 3:30, so hopefully I can get the ball over the plate. The Lakewood Blue Claws are playing somebody for the regular minor league baseball game, and once that's completed, the Brick Memorial varsity baseball team takes on the Brick Township High School varsity team. So all the high school guys get to play right there on the professional field, which is a great experience. They get to be down in the locker room, get to be in the dugout of the professional field, which is a good experience for them. So please, everybody come out and support Brick Day at the Lakewood Blue Claws. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, is my radio show. It's www.blogtalkradio.com/Talking Brick Township. To call in, it's 347-426-3543, and I'll answer any questions or take any comments from anybody who calls in. So please call in, and I'll talk to you then tomorrow night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Counselor?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing, thank you.
Madam Secretary.
Yes,
Councilman?
Thank you, Mr. President. We did have our charity basketball game. It was the police department versus the Dragons about 2 Fridays ago. Great turnout. It was all for a good cause. That was the police department for 25 years for doing that. So they do it every year, and it's always a great cause for a great family in need. So excellent. Thank you for coming out tonight. Mr. Campbell, thank you for the budget. Appreciate that. I want to mention something about our roadways. Not so much our roadways, but I ran into a gentleman that works for Route 18. It's a good highway. I mean, I take that road every day. I try to stay off the Parkway because they got issues. But Route 18 is it's a nice highway. I mean, it's always well kept, well maintained. I met a couple of gentlemen that work for the road department over on Route 18, and they do a great job. So kudos to them guys, men and women who take care of that roadway. You can go on any time of the day. It's always clean. It's always well maintained. There's no potholes. It's a nice highway to cruise in. And just a couple other things. It's getting nice outside, so please watch out for our two-wheel motorcycles out there. Always look twice as you're approaching an intersection, because that's where most of these accidents occur. And just to wrap up, just the other day, I was sitting on a curb gathering my thoughts, and I reached out to the county clerk's office, and I'm now an independent. So just let everybody know out there I am an independent. So thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Thank you, Council President. On Friday, March 27th, BMAC had an open mic night at the Civic Plaza, and I just want to thank the Recreation Department for hosting us. I want to thank our BMAC volunteers that came out, and I want to give a special shout out to the Sound Engineering Department at the County Performing Arts High School. The kids came out, they set up the equipment, they ran the sound for the whole show, they performed. It was a great night. We probably had about 100 kids there, our second one, so it's growing. And they're very supportive of one another, and it was really very nice to see. So we look forward to partnering with them on other events in the future. Following up on that, BMAC is running a fundraiser. It's called Mixed Bag Designs, and they're tote bags and lunch bags and some kitchen tools and a variety of other things. It's a catalog sale, so there's nowhere to go other than to go to the rec department and to take a look through the brochure. And if you see something that you like, please order it. We're looking to have delivery by Mother's Day. So as we've talked about before, the cash match that's required as part of our BMAC grant is not coming from the taxpayers. It's being raised through events like this, fundraisers and our golf tournament and other fundraising events that you'll hear me talk about from time to time. And that's to help provide drug and alcohol prevention programs for the youth of our town. I got a request from the Brick Garden Club to repeat the announcement that they are looking for new members that are interested in gardening. Their next meeting will be Monday, April 13th at the Bob Anstett Cultural Arts Center, 515 Herbertsville Road, starting at 7 p.m. Their guest speaker will be Janine Rogers, and she will present a program on how to harvest the rain and conserve water. And then finally, I just wanted to make a brief comment about the National Library Week. Mayor, when you were talking about Jack, it kind of brought back to mind my first experience with a library was I lived in my parents' first home was in a development in Neptune, and we had a bookmobile that used to come. So the library actually came to us, and that was really the first time I can remember checking books out from the library and reading books. And so I was very fortunate. I married a journalist who shared my love of reading. Our children have grown up being voracious readers. And with almost 17 years in the substance abuse field, a lot of times people will ask me, does this program work? Does that program work? And even the best evidence-based program by itself doesn't really work. It's a number of other factors that go into keeping kids safe and healthy and resilient. There is no magic bullet, but and this is just my personal opinion, it's not professional expertise or anything, but to me, if anything even approached a magic bullet in that regard, it would be reading. A poor academic performance sets a child up for failure, and when children learn a love of reading from a very, very early age, they tend to do better in school. So I would encourage all the parents out there, read to your kids early and often. You will get as much out of it as they get out of it, and you will instill in them a lifelong love of reading and learning. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman, did you finish that book from last meeting with the monkey? I'm curious.
No, I'm still working on it.
Wondering as a councilman.
Thank you, Council President. I'd just like to talk about a little bit about Maple Leaf. I know the chief is doing all he can. The mayor had meetings, and the committees all had meetings on this. Things are being done. When some people talk up here, they're not in those committees. They don't realize what's going on. Sometimes, Mr. Gantel, I talked to you before about property management, that you and the people that live there should get together and do property management to get in there. You guys don't have no meetings over there. It's kind of dead, and nobody does anything that lives there. I don't know if everybody's scared to do anything. I don't know. And also, there was a neighborhood watch. The chief of police went for a neighborhood watch. 3 people showed up. Was everybody scared, or no one's interested? I don't know what
Mr.
that is.
Gansell, you could discuss it with Councilman. This is his comments.
I don't know what it is, but a lot is being done over there, and I know a new person was hired over there, and to go through and make sure all the COs were done. He's checking any garbage that's around. He's the code enforcement guy. He's doing the work there, and he's on that job. He's doing it. And things are happening slowly. It's not going to happen overnight.
No.
I'd just like to thank the Boy Scouts for Troop 6 for coming and leading us into the salute of the flag. It's National Library Week. The branch manager is Susan Gardner, and the theme for this year is Unlimited Possibilities at Your Library. Another thing, if you see a street light out and it's in your neighborhood, you can obtain the information from the metal tag on the pole itself. You know, if it's in your neighborhood, you can easily get that tag number, and you can call 732-262-1346 and report it there, and they'll come out and repair that light when they get a chance. And We pay for them whether they're on or off. We still pay for them. So if it's out in your neighborhood, you can call that number. Just to remind everybody, the rigid plastic pickups are every Tuesday. You can call 732-451-4060 for pickup. That's every Tuesday. Just let them know you have it out there. They'll come pick it up. The pothole crew is still out there. If you see a pothole, you can go to the township website, click on and report a pothole, and just give them the location of it on there, or you can call 732-451-4060 and report it. I'm the chair of Public Works in the committee. I've been working with Mr. Campbell and the guys down there. I thought they did a great job for the year, and we're doing a lot more there and improving. He's finally got equipment after all the years not having equipment. He's finally getting equipment to do the job properly, and we're saving money by having the right equipment, and that's really working out well. Revenue last year, like Mr. Campbell said, was $87,399.66 from Ocean County Recycling. It would have been more, but what happens is Ocean County, they're paying us less. It's way down to what it used to be. But we're saving money by not bringing it to the landfill. So we're saving a lot of money that way. The bulk was reduced by 516 tons for savings of $42,000. And also, a lot of money was saved since we're picking up at the condos. We had Waste Management picking it up. And we saved a lot of money by us doing the pickup. My memory is $150,000, around that much money we saved just by doing it ourselves. The recycling coordinator does go out and do presentations on the 14th. They're doing a presentation at the Pavilion. And they're also doing another presentation at Cedar Village on the 20th. And so they go out there and answer all the questions for the seniors, anything they would want to put in the garbage, just so we can keep it clean, because everybody knows no plastic bags in your recycling, because that jams the machine up. And that's all I have, Council President. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Vice President?
Sure. I'd just like to thank Mr. Campbell for his presentation tonight. And also another way to report the potholes is hashtag brick potholes. Is that correct, Mayor? Yes. Brick pothole. So if you were on Twitter, you can report your pothole that way. Since Councilwoman Leidecker isn't here this evening, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Green Fair that is happening on Saturday, April 18th from 10 to 2 at Brick High School right across the street. The mayor will be speaking at 1 o'clock, and right now we have over 40 vendors and exhibitors. There's solar, there are natural products, there's crafters and artisans and all kinds of people. So it'll be great opportunity for us as a township, and also it's a great learning experience for our students to take them over there. So it's Saturday, April 18th from 10 to 2 at the Brick High School. Also, with the hopefully warm weather upon us, we will be starting a lot of our capital projects you'll see coming to fruition. Here at Town Hall, we have our stairways and everything getting redone, and along with all the park projects that Councilwoman Leidecker, Zapsik has been working on as the chair of Recreation. We have Colorado Park, Angela Hibbard Park, and Lake Riviera Park that are due to break ground pretty soon. So hopefully we will have them for the summer to enjoy. Also, I've been asked to remind everybody that beach badges are for sale. You can go to Recreation Department over in Civic Plaza. For the beach itself, it's $25, and for parking, it's $30. But after June 15th, it's $30 for the beach badges, and kids under 12 are free. Also, the rec brochure of all of this year's activities is completed, and it's online and available. And next week, the schools will be getting them, so all the kids will be going home with our rec brochures. So that's all I have tonight, and thank you.
Thank you, Vice President. First off, I'd like to thank the Boy Scout Troop 6 for leading us Pledge of Allegiance. Great job. Thank Mr. Campbell for your presentation and actually staying for the whole meeting. You get a star by your name for that one. I'd like to thank all our volunteer firefighters, EMS, all the volunteers in our community do a great job. Our police chief, our police force doing a super job. There's a senior prom coming up May 8th from 6 to 10 p.m. at Lake Riviera Middle School. Its admission is free for people 60 and over. So Jim will be able to go to that one. I will give you more information. There's information at Town Hall on that. Also, there's a benefit this Saturday, April 11th, from 8 to 10 a.m. at Applebee's. It's to benefit Dottie's House. It's a $10 pancake breakfast with Mickey Mouse and snazzy, jazzy faces to benefit women and children survivors of domestic violence. The cost is $10. You can pick up tickets in advance by calling 732-295-7380. And that's this Saturday from 8 to 10, or 8 to, 8 to 10, correct. What else? Also, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. Our next meeting is April 21st at 7 p.m. right here at this, right here in this courtroom. So I'd make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.